welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. I am Owen. Joining me on the show today, very excited to have Bec from Terminal Sleep on the show. Hello, Bec. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming into the studio. This is a lot of fun, and I have been very excited to talk to you, but also anyone from Terminal Sleep.
Hell yeah, thank you. No, stoked to be here.
Because the band has been on my radar and a band that I've been watching for so long now. And I think you've really been capturing a particular moment in heavy music in Australia and in metal and hardcore. So I wanted to kind of throw it over to you first. Could you give us a brief introduction about who you are and what you do with Terminal Sleep?
Okay. Well, I'm Bec, and yeah, I do vocals in Terminal Sleep. I'm not sure what else there is.
Do you write the lyrics?
Yes, I write the lyrics. So
Okay.
Will and Dom write most of like the music, the instruments, and then
Sure.
they hand it over to me and I'll do the lyrics.
Okay, cool.
So
It
it works out well.
That works out fine.
Yeah.
That seems to be a decent enough summary. I was talking to you before we hit record about the band's mission statement, which you informed me might not necessarily be your mission statement, but one that's been ascribed to you. But we're going to talk about it anyway. So on the band's bio, it says Terminal Sleep is about being a bad bitch. Now, as someone who is not a bad bitch,
Hey, you don't say that. Anyone could be a bad bitch.
Okay. Well, this is
Yeah,
what I wanted to get
yeah.
into. So, what is the ethos of being a bad bitch, and why does Terminal Sleep define it?
I mean, I don't think it was that deep when we wrote it
Okay.
or when we got it suggested. I think it's just about standing your ground, being who you are, and anyone can be a bad bitch. Doesn't matter about gender.
Okay, I'll take that on. I like that. I
You got to
think
channel your inner bad bitch.
my inner bad bitch.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think that's something that really resonates with me when I think about your music, because obviously the sound is confrontational, but it's also very empowering. And I feel like watching you on stage and seeing the kind of just sheer rage that you're like channeling and focusing, like you're obviously drawing a sense of empowerment from being on stage and being in the band. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about the music that moves you?
It just makes me feel something, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like tap into a particular rage, but I don't really think about it that much. I think like when I'm on stage, I'm so worried about standing still and doing nothing and it being boring.
Yes.
So that I just have this thing in my head that's just like, go, do something, keep moving. Yeah.
Momentum. Yeah.
And then I think that just sort of develops from that. And then
Okay.
I can't really do my screams without looking angry. So it just sort of all ties in together.
I will say that was like one of the things that really drew me into the band is like, obviously there's the sonic component, which is heavy as shit, but visually, like in the music videos and then live videos, and then when I eventually saw you guys play live, there's a certain intensity that you bring to your performance that is quite striking, that I don't think every band manages to capture, and I think it's probably one of your talents and one of your skills that like
Thanks.
you can't help but like be drawn to what you're doing with your face, with your body, and it matches the band perfectly. So like,
Yeah.
is that a conscious thing for you, or are
No.
you just like letting it flow?
I'm just letting it flow. Like I said, I'm just so worried about standing still and looking awkward
Yeah.
that I just force myself to just keep moving.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So if we talk about music then, I want to maybe go back a little bit and we'll eventually catch up to the point where you start Terminal Sleep. But if we go back to younger Bec, what was your kind of first connection to music? Was it something that was always in your household?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely always in my household. Not heavy music. So I was sort of the only one from my immediate family to get into that.
Okay. Was that a point of contention? Were you like the black
like
sheep kid?
Yeah. I'm like the emo. Still am, but yeah, I think I like first discovered bands like Linkin Park, Korn, Slipknot, all that
Sick.
when I was like 14. And then it just progressed from there. And I think my sister once said to me, she was like, "Oh, I liked Evanescence, but I grew out of it. It's just a phase. You'll get over it." I was like, I
Still
mean, I
here.
love Evanescence, but it's a little bit different. And I never grew out of it. So here we are.
Was your older sibling responsible for that musical discovery, or did you kind of take it on yourself? To,
I
like,
took it
find
on
stuff?
myself. I think it was from MySpace even.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think I was on someone's page and I think it was an Enter Shikari song, I remember.
Sick.
And I was like, this is cool, like screaming and stuff. And then
Yeah.
it just sort of exploded from there.
I mean, that's a cool gateway band because like they are definitely heavy, but they also have like the dancey elements and
Yeah.
like the poppy elements and stuff. So like in terms of like a crossover point, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it
'Cause-
was like a good entry level.
yeah. And then if you vibe with the heavy shit, there's plenty more to find.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much what happened.
Okay. So you find heavy music. When do you go to your first hardcore show?
So I went to my first show. It was State of East London at the Castle in
What a-
Dandenong.
What a throwback
I
band.
know.
Holy shit. Okay.
I actually listened to them the other day. Like, they still slap.
They're really good.
Yeah,
I think that band is like massively underrated. They
Yeah.
never got the props they deserve.
definitely.
Shout out State of East London.
But that was like when I was 15.
Okay.
But like my parents are pretty protective. I couldn't go out. Like they didn't know I went to that show. So, I was naughty,
Sorry,
little
Mum.
rebel. Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really get a chance to go out that much.
Right.
But I remember that being like one of my first shows. And then another one, I think it was like Parkway Drive, Architects, August Burns Red.
Huge.
I can't remember the fourth band now, but like that was crazy.
I think I remember seeing that tour when I was living in Brisbane. And
Yeah.
that was like when Parkway was starting to do like the big arena
Yeah.
stuff. Like they just started moving out of like big cap rooms and went onto like arena shit.
Yeah.
So huge entry point. Did you have a circle of friends that you were relying on to go to shows, or were you like the loner kid just going by yourself?
I did have a group of friends that were into the same music, like they played in bands and things like that. So we did go to some shows together. But I don't know, they sort of weren't into the really heavy stuff, I guess.
Okay.
So I didn't have, when I was younger, I didn't really have that many people
Okay.
to go to like the heavy shows.
Got you. All right. So I know from doing a bit of prep for this interview and listening to some other chats that you've done that you and Will, one of the other members of your band,
Yes.
have been friends for, I think, over a decade at
Yeah.
least. So how did you strike up a friendship with Will? And I guess how has that informed your musical discovery since then?
We met, I think I was dating someone and then his friend was dating someone who was friends with Will.
Yeah.
It was this like weird connection and then like all became, in the same friendship group.
Right.
So that's sort of how we met.
Okay.
And then, he's always had like a really good taste in music. We bonded over like the early Architects, like Ruins, Nightmares, things like that.
Yeah.
Which is a big inspiration for Terminal Sleep. And then I guess we've just recommended bands to each other and we have a lot of similar tastes. So
Yeah.
hence why we were like, we should start a band.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that Will obviously had some time in Clowns previously, a very different kind of style of music to
Yeah.
Terminal Sleep. And I was reading in previous interviews with some direct quotes from Will where he was saying like, I wanted to do something heavy. And I think the direct quote is like, ignorant breakdowns
Yeah.
and dive bombs galore. So
He
like,
loves it.
let's talk about kind of the genesis point for Terminal Sleep then. I know that it was around Invasion Fest 2020, is that right?
Yeah.
What was the conversation between you and Will to start a band that became Terminal Sleep?
So a little bit before that, I was actually jamming. I was learning bass,
Okay.
and we were gonna do like more of a power violence band, like Hatred Surge sort of vibe.
Yeah, nice.
And like Will came to one of the practices, and he was like, "Hey, have a go doing some vocals." I'm like, "Okay," did it.
Had you done vocals previously?
No. So I did it and I was like, I didn't think it sounded that great. It sounded a bit dog shit, if I'm honest. But Will obviously saw something. So then after that, he was like, hey, let's do like more of a hardcore metalcore band with you on vocals. And I was sort of like, I don't know. Like, I hate getting like happy birthday sung to me. I don't really want to be like, have all like, you know, a lot of attention on me. Like, it makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Had you thought about fronting a band?
No, God, no. I had never thought about it. Like, it just wasn't in my personality, I guess. I was like, I just don't want all those people looking at me.
Fascinating.
So I was sort of like, oh, okay, maybe, like, we'll see. And then a bunch of us went to Invasion Fest and we were watching the bands and, you know, a few margaritas deep. I was like, you know what, I can do this. Like, I'll get over my stage fright. I can do this. So then we were like, yep, let's do it. When we get back, like, let's form it and let's actually start jamming.
Yeah. Now, obviously, 2020, perhaps not the best time to start a band.
We were so excited and then it got like pulled out from underneath us.
And that's been like a running theme with a lot of bands that I've spoken to over the last few years. So with Terminal Sleep in particular, was it kind of like an incubation period almost? Because I think the first single comes out in 2022 and then the genesis for the band is around 2020. So were you guys working on stuff, jamming for like a year?
Yeah, pretty much. So we didn't have our full lineup. So Will and I, early 2020, wanted to form it. And then probably 6 months later, we had like the whole band together.
Okay.
It's because we knew Dom through like our social circle. And then through Dom, we met Todd. And then through Todd, we met Dustin.
Perfect.
So it all like a bit of a domino effect. And then we started jamming, sort of learning the songs.
What was the first jam like? With like the full lineup?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. God, it was so long ago now. I think I've got a video, like one of the first videos. And it's really strange to look at now.
Was there a moment for you, like in the jam room, seeing it all kind of come together where you were like, yeah, this is it. Like,
yeah,
this is the thing.
Yeah, I think the first jam we had with Dustin to see if he wanted to join, like, yeah, we all loved it. So we were like, hopefully he says yes. And he did.
Perfect.
So yeah, that was sweet. And then I think we just wanted to, because we wanted to record the 9 songs all at once. So that's what we did, and then split that into the 2 EPs. So it was just a matter of getting ready for that. Obviously with all the lockdowns that put a lot of delay with it. So I think that's why it took us so long to book in recording. And then we wanted to release something before we played our first show. But then we got offered a show and we were like, okay, looks like we're doing this.
I would imagine, like, I don't play in a band, but I would imagine, like, it might be a daunting prospect to play and have the knowledge that no one knows the songs because they're not out. So it's like, how do people know what to do? Yeah,
exactly. And like, it was our first show as a band, like no music released. It was my first show ever in my life.
How are you feeling?
I was shitting myself. Like, I mean, I still get very nervous before every show now, but like that was something else. And it was at the corner as well because we were talking about our first show. The guys were like, we'll do something like really low key, you know, not a big room. And then, we got the corner. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, a nice medium room for you.
Yeah. But like, to be fair, you know, we were opening and there wasn't that many people there. So I was like, okay, I can do this.
So walk me through your kind of mind space. You get on stage, you play like the first song. Are you like, okay, this works? Or are you like, need to work on this? Or were you like immediately just kind of like, no, I'm rocking this. This is fucking sick.
I don't really think I thought that much, to be honest.
It's just like a blur.
It really is like that. Like it just goes so quickly. I think after the first scream I did, I was like, okay, first one's out. I can do this. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep moving. But yeah, there wasn't really any internal monologue because I'm just freaking out.
Just go for it.
It's just a panic state up here the whole time.
So first show's out of the way. The kind of jitters and kind of apprehension is gone. Then you release music. And Death Therapy is the first single.
Yes.
was it like for you and maybe for the other guys in the band as well to kind of put that out there and kind of wait for the reception of people to respond to it?
It was a relief, to be honest, to finally have something out. Like, because I think we played another show before we released Death Therapy.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just a relief to have something out. I mean, I didn't have any previous experience with releases, so I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah. So Terminal Sleep is like your first project.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Really just kind of jumping straight in there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay. Well, I mean, this kind of leads naturally to the next point. Like the single is received very well. You have some minor viral success
God.
with an Instagram reel and
That cursed reel.
the cursed reel. But you do get a lot of eyeballs on it. And people are kind of stoked on the band. And it definitely kind of puts you front and center of the conversation for a little bit. Was that a good thing? In retrospect, are you like,
It's sort of like a double-edged sword. So it is good because you do get attention and exposure, and there's people who might not have ever heard of you. But then it came with negatives like, you know, just trolls on the internet, things like that.
yeah. Were you prepared for that?
No, like I said, like I wasn't even in the mind state to like front a band before, and then all of a sudden this video went off, and it just, yeah, we didn't really know what to what to do.
Yeah.
We were just like, okay, this is happening. But I've since learned, like, I don't look at comments. I don't look at YouTube comments. Like, I don't do any of that anymore, just because I know there's going to be something that will potentially upset me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Definitely, I have got like thick skin from it, but I don't need to see all that shit that gets said.
No, fuck it.
Like, there's nice stuff. There's really, really nice stuff, and I love that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But there was one comment that was like, "Oh, is this PMS core?" Like, just shit like that. It's like, my God, you're such a loser.
God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
That's super disappointing, but also, I guess, like you said, fuck him.
Exactly.
You don't need to see that.
It's like, joke's on you. I'm this angry all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I would imagine that, like, now that you've played a lot more shows and you've built a fan base, you would get a lot of positive stuff in person. People coming up at shows, and that means way more to someone than
so much.
like an anonymous negative troll fucking comment.
Exactly. And I know, like, half the time, or most of the time, those comments, they're just wanting a reaction.
Yeah.
So we just leave it. But yeah, like you said, when I get people coming up to me in person, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
I still don't know really what to say, because I'm just like, thank you. But like, it trumps all the other shit. So it's awesome.
Not to get too deep, like straight off the bat here, but did you ever consider yourself to be a role model?
No, but so
How does that feel?
I'm still processing it. Like, I had these two sweet girls come up to me at the Tsunami show, actually.
Okay.
They're just like, wanted to say hello, and that they really like the band, and they like seeing a woman up on stage. And because, like, I don't think I'm cool at all, so I'm just like, thank you. And I was in my work clothes as well. So I'm like, I'm such a dork right now, but thank you so much.
I don't know. I think that would be such a cool feeling to know that you can inspire someone, a stranger, to kind of, I don't know, come out of their shell, because presumably they're probably fucking awkward too, and to go up to someone like you and be like, hey, we really like your band and we think that you're sick.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Especially like another woman. Like, it means a lot. Like, I've made myself like cry happy tears over it before.
Yeah. We were talking about that Tsunami show before we hit record, but Gravitate opened.
Yes.
And it was insane. Yeah, hell yeah. The Hatebreed booth.
Yeah.
So fucking
I
sick.
saw it and I'm like, I need this immediately.
Incredible. Yeah, watching their set, like, there were heaps of young kids that were stoked on the music, but more importantly, like, lots of girls up the front.
Yeah,
And
it's awesome.
I just think that's so dope. That, like, for an opener to have that kind of representation and to have the kids just go fucking mental for it
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, all ages shows are incredible.
Yeah,
Shout out to
Candace-
Beastmode for putting them on.
Yeah,
But like,
Candace killed it with that.
yeah, but like everyone was going off straight away. So it's really encouraging to see that like the younger generation are getting into it. So
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Have you played many all ages shows with Terminal Sleep?
We played one at the Gasso October last year, I think it was.
Okay.
And again, awesome. Like I didn't think we'd get that many people. So I'm like, I don't know how many young people listen to us, but it was sick.
Yeah.
And like yeah, just seeing the young people moshing, like my heart.
Were you ever a mosher back in the day?
No, I'm one of those people who is too afraid of injury.
Okay.
Like I'll two-step and stuff, but like I can't even do a somersault because I'm afraid I'll hurt my neck.
Yeah.
So
I moshed for the first time at a Carpathian show
nice.
in like 2005, 2006, and immediately got my nose broken.
Yes.
Like fucking straight away. And like a couple of months previous, I had seen Parkway Drive for the first time. And it was Every Time I Die, Parkway Drive, and
Oh, Every
Amity.
Time I Die is so good. Sorry,
Oh,
continue.
no. It was insane. And Amity opened the show.
Oh my god,
like-
that's so weird.
Like way back in the day. It's actually that flyer that we've got.
oh
on
no
the-
shit.
Yeah. That was like my
Yeah, that's
first
sick.
hardcore show. And I'd never seen moshing before. And I'm just like a kid from the country. So I was like in the big city going to the show and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it took a couple of months. And then when I went to the other show, I was like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
Similar to you. I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can mosh. I can do that. Immediately got humbled, had my nose broken. It still has a little like bump in it to this day. But yeah, watching kids at the Tsunami show, like I'm 35. I can't fucking pit anymore.
Yeah.
And it was just so sick to just watch all of these like young kids who are probably like moshing for their first time
Yeah.
in that room to a band like Tsunami. And I was like, how dope
Yeah.
to have that as your like first experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Sick.
It's really, really cool to see.
Let's talk about the EPs. So you recorded 9 songs for chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Yeah.
Talk me through the kind of conceptual process for releasing that music, because they're kind of like, you know, chapter 1 and 2 recorded all together. Why did you release them in batches, and kind of how do they link together?
The chapter 1 and 2 was Will's idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think like we had 9 songs, so we wanted to record it, but being a new band, we didn't want to release an album straight away.
Yeah.
Like I just find that not no one, but it's better to sort of drip feed, I guess.
Totally.
Again, not my idea. I don't know any of this stuff.
I mean, at this point, Will's probably put out a few albums and
Yeah,
things, so he kind of has an idea about what's going on.
Exactly. All the other guys have been in bands as well, so like they have a bit more of an understanding of it. The connection, there wasn't really like, okay, these songs should definitely go on this one and this should definitely go on this one.
Right.
Yeah, we just split it up
There you
and
go.
then we're like 1 and 2, yep, do it.
Let's talk about your lyrics. Obviously, there's a lot of anger and
Yes.
rage, and you channel that both on record and in a live setting. But when it came to writing and recording, where were you mentally in terms of lyrics, and what were you pulling from to take that into the studio? Having, I would assume this being like your first time doing that with a
Yeah.
band. So like,
I mean, I really liked creative writing, like
okay,
at school and things like that. Like that was weirdly my best subject.
hell yeah.
So yeah. But I guess if I'm angry about something, I'll just write it out.
Do you keep like notes app in your phone,
Yeah,
or are you like old school pen and paper?
So I'm both. So I've got the notes app. That's just all the cooked random lyrics everywhere. Like it always happens when you're falling asleep. I'll be like nearly asleep and then I'm like, oh, it's really good. And then I'm like, I don't want to look at my phone. I'm trying to sleep. But then I have to write it out.
They call that a hypnagogic state.
Oh, okay.
It's where you're in like a liminal space between being awake and being asleep, and you kind of tap into some subconscious stuff
Well,
that's stewing around in your
yeah.
head.
Well, there
So
you go.
yeah,
Well, that's helped me write a few lyrics.
as a writer myself, I've definitely been working on pieces, gone to bed, and like just before falling asleep, been like, whoa, be like, I need to get that down. Shit, fuck,
Yeah.
where's my phone? So, okay, that's where you're tapping into the rage. Nice.
Yeah. But then I'll get like a notepad and a pen and I'll write out the whole song and cross out verses and do it again. And
I'm interested to know, how do you divide what goes in the phone and then what goes in the pad? Is it like when you write something down on like the physical paper, is it like more permanent, like
Yeah.
a drafting kind of process?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you do that consciously or you just found yourself doing it?
I've just always been able to remember stuff better when I write it down, not when I type it.
Yep.
Like, yeah, going back to school and uni, if I was studying, I'd have to rewrite everything because that like imprints it in my head.
Yep.
So that's definitely, yeah, like a more of a formal lyric process that I do.
Cool.
And then once it's all done, then I'll transfer it back to my phone.
Okay.
So then I can share it with the guys, or if we put it on, the back of a record or whatever. So
Yeah.
I've got the lyrics there.
Cool. And how kind of informed were the guys in terms of like the lyrics and your like direction for each of the songs? Did they give any feedback? Were they just like, this is dope?
I mean, like there's still feedback. I still want them to approve of what it is. But every time I've told them what the gist of the song is, they're all happy with it.
Yeah.
So
I get the sense that it's very supportive and they're
Yeah.
just like,
Oh,
letting
definitely.
you kind of do your thing.
yeah, definitely. Like I'll come to them and be like, oh, like I'm stuck at this part. Have you got any ideas? And yeah, so we'll still work together in some parts, but they're so supportive. So I'm very lucky to have 4 supportive dudes.
So then recording the stuff for the EPs, what was that like in the studio? Were you a little bit nervous, kind of intimidated by that whole process?
I was at the
I've never recorded an album, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
I was at the start just because I'd never experienced it before. But I think because we didn't do vocals until like the 4th day, maybe. So by then I was just like ready to go because
Yeah.
I'd just been sitting around the whole time. But no, yeah, then once I started, it was fine. Like, it was fun.
Did you have any issues with like your voice or your throat, like in the studio? I know
So
some
we
people have their
did.
little cures and like teas and throat coat and stuff.
Yeah, well, because it was my first time recording it, I didn't really have any, tricks or anything like that. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to try and smash out as many as I can. I think we did like maybe 2 or 3 songs the first day,
Shit,
3
that's pretty
songs the
good.
next day. Yeah, and then maybe 1 song on the 3rd day, and then I lost my voice.
Yeah.
So then I had to do the other, how many were left, like
Yeah.
the week after.
Having, like you mentioned before, like not really thinking of yourself as a vocalist or a front woman initially. What's it like now, kind of being in the position you are in the band and like your voice is an instrument? So you have to like know all of the technical details on like, here's how
Yeah.
I need to warm up. Here's how I warm down. I
Yeah.
can't drink this. I have to drink that. Like, was that a steep learning curve for you?
Yeah, a bit. Like I'm now really pedantic with my voice and how I look after it and everything.
Yeah.
Like I went and saw a vocal coach just to be like, hey, I want to know how to warm up and cool down. Like I don't want to destroy my voice. So that helped a lot. And then practice. Like I do scales every day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which
sick.
like back, before I started, I wouldn't think would help because you're screaming, but it does. So especially leading up to tour, I have like this whole endurance training that I do. So I'll do like scales every day and then I'll build up to doing like the set every day. So then by the time we go on tour, like it's all conditioned.
What
That's
about
fine.
on tour? Has that been another kind of learning curve?
Yeah. So the tour we did with Amity, that was like the test, like, can I do this?
Yeah. Was that your first national run?
Yeah,
Certainly the biggest
yeah,
one.
definitely the biggest one, and like the most shows in the one tour.
Because you also had the Thought Domination
Yeah,
tour
that was
with
only
Volatile Ways.
4 or 5 shows.
Right,
So definitely a step up from what I'd done previously.
Sure.
So that was, yeah, a test, but I warmed up before every set. I cooled down afterwards. I I wouldn't be on merch duty unless it was the last night of the leg. So I'd have a day off the next day. Sorry, Dom, he has to do all the merch, but it's just so I'm not talking.
Yeah.
I don't drink at all when I'm on tour. Like I don't smoke.
Probably a good thing anyway.
It is a good thing because as soon as I drink, I yell, and then I would lose my voice straight away. Like I don't smoke or vape or anything, so yeah, I take pretty good care of it.
Yeah, awesome.
And then even if it's feeling a little bit crap, I'll just be like, no one talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the room.
Yeah, and I'm sure like that kind of vocal rest like is a necessary thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you feel antisocial and rude, but there's sometimes where I'm like, if I stay out talking the rest of the night, I'm not going to be able to perform tomorrow, or I will and it will sound like crap and then I'll hate myself. So.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, your voice is an instrument, right? It's like the guys, playing guitar, like if they don't tune that shit,
Yeah.
it sounds like dog shit.
Yeah.
So like
It's the same thing.
You're tuning your voice and the rest is an integral component.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of the Amity tour, I was going to move into that. So you've had a fairly big year, 2024. So chapter 1 and chapter 2 came out end of 2022 and then 2023.
Yes.
And you had sporadic shows, the Volatile Ways run that we mentioned before. But the Amity tour at the start of this year was the first like big tour. What was that like to jump on a run with a crazy lineup and play a bunch of like smaller kind of cities and towns and stuff?
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah.
Like we went to towns that none of us had been to before. And a lot of regional towns, they don't, necessarily get a lot of shows.
Yeah.
So when they do, they show up, like they go wild.
Yeah, the kids go mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it was really good exposure as well. Just so much fun. So I would do it again in a heartbeat, like another regional tour like that.
We had Lachlan from Run on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him about the tour, and he said it was sick. He said the shows were great, sold crazy amounts of merch.
Yeah.
And they said that the relationship between the bands on the tour was a good hang. And
Yeah.
He said it was sick to just kind of like hang out with everyone and play.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Like there was no, egotistical personalities that you don't want to confront. So everyone was really chill. Had a lot of fun and made a lot of good friends.
Yeah, sick. So we're kind of now catching up to, I guess, now with the band. So you've put out a new song a couple of weeks ago called Spineless. And this is the first of 2 tracks on a 2-track release. By the time people see this, Shadows will be out. So
Ooh,
they
hope
would
you
have
like it.
yeah, they would have already heard it. But talk to me about the process for the 2-track versus what we've talked about with the chapter EPs.
They were sort of written the same way. So Will wrote Spineless.
Okay.
It got chopped and changed so much. He's very hard on himself. So he'll write a riff and it'll be sick. And then he's like, no, not good enough. And then he'll rewrite it like 10 times. And we're like, it's good. Like, leave it. We're leaving this.
Yeah.
It was sort of like the same process writing wise. And then Dom wrote Shadows.
Okay.
There was not much difference to chapter 1 and chapter 2 on how we wrote it. And then we recorded with Elliot in Sydney.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun. We went up there for about a week and then I had to do the songs in like a day and a half just because the guitars and that took longer than we expected. As always, it always takes longer. And because we're in Sydney, so I'm like, shit, I have to do this. Otherwise I'm going to have to fly back up the next week. And
Yeah, can't be doing that.
no, I don't have that money to spend like that.
Never knowing what it's like to feel fragrance. Disrespect is what you read inside. When you ignore being told no, planets
With that little bit of added pressure, does that affect you mentally in terms of like the processes that we've been talking about?
Yeah, it definitely did because I was worried that I was rushing it and that it wasn't going to sound as good. But Elliot's amazing to work with. So, we smashed it out and I was pretty happy
Yeah.
with how it turned out.
I know you mentioned that you don't read YouTube comments, but as part of the journalistic process, I do.
Okay.
And one of the themes that I picked up with Spineless were people saying that your vocals in particular were like the standout feature of
Oh,
the
hell
song.
yeah. That's cool.
And I wanted to ask you, do you feel like you've kind of progressed as a vocalist from the beginning? Like you
I
talked about the
think
first
so.
jam and sounding dog shit. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't sound dog shit now. So, like,
I
do you
don't
feel
know, sometimes.
do you feel a sense of progression?
Oh, definitely, because
Yeah.
I sort of have more control over my voice just from doing the scale practice and
Sure.
playing shows now and everything. And so, yeah, I think my voice is definitely shaped. So,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to like better my range as well. So
Okay.
it's a work in progress. But
Are
yeah.
you listening to like particular things to kind of get ideas or inspiration? Do you try not to listen to like other like heavy bands because you don't want to like
Oh no, like I
emulate them?
basically only listen to other heavy bands,
Okay.
but I don't think it really impacts what direction I want to go as a vocalist. I
Yeah.
just sort of play into my strengths, what I can do, and like what's safe for my voice as well.
Yeah. What were you listening to for Spineless and Shadows? What was on the mind?
God, I don't know.
This is me putting you on the spot like we talked about
yeah.
before. Sorry.
We wrote Spineless like in August last year, so it was ages ago. So I can't
Okay.
remember what I
Fair.
was listening to.
Okay.
Actually, no, the stuff I was listening to probably wouldn't have had an impact. I think I was listening to like a lot of 156 Silence
Okay.
at that time.
I mean, they're pretty
I
heavy.
love them. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So with the release, which again, people will have already heard now that this episode is out, you also have the tour with Scorn.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Are you excited for that run?
I'm so excited.
Were you choosing Scorn for that run? Was that like a Beast Mode suggestion?
It was a joint suggestion. So we
Cool.
played with Scorn before in Sydney, and they're a sick band, and they're really lovely people as well.
Yeah,
So
crazy good.
yeah.
Crazy good band.
but it's always nice to go on tour with friends. So we thought it was a good fit, and they just released their EP like not too long ago.
Which is super
So
sick.
yeah, so sick. So it'd be cool to do the run with them.
Yeah, cool. So then with the Scorn run out of the way, you've got however many months left in the rest of 2024. What's next for Terminal Sleep? Things that you can talk about legally.
Cannot. There isn't anything.
Cool. All right. Can you give us a hint? Is there
More touring.
More touring?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's all I can say.
That's good.
And we're writing at the moment as well.
Okay. For another EP, an album?
Album.
Oh, shit.
I think I'm allowed to say that.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm not. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
I mean, that would be the next logical
Yeah.
step, right? Yeah. Is that a daunting thing for you to think about, like the debut album?
Yeah, definitely. I think we do put pressure on ourselves to be like, okay, each song has to be like the best possible song that we can do.
Yeah. It is kind of like the definitive statement for a
Yeah.
band, especially a new band. Like the debut album is like, here it is.
Yeah, like this is us. Yeah. But like so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I'll have months where like I don't have any creative juices and I can't think of any lyrics, and then I'll have a week where I can do like 2 songs or 3 songs.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happens like that.
I mean, I was just talking to Paige before, but I've recently overcome like a really bad stretch of writer's block that I've like never encountered before in my life.
They're so bad.
Like normally ideas would just like come out and I can just write and I can, put on a pot of coffee, sit up late at night and just like write and be fine. And I've struggled for 6 months or more to like get the things that I know are in my head, but to get them down on paper or on a computer or whatever. How do you push through that? What do you do?
I just sort of force myself. Just put
Is it
headphones on.
The pressure of like,
I think it's the
you
pressure.
need to do this.
Yeah, I think I just remind myself we've got a deadline.
Yeah.
We need to do this. Like the sooner you get it done, the sooner you can practice it, the sooner you can record it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You're rewarding yourself. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as you just pull your finger out and do it, you
Exactly.
don't have to stress about it.
and then I
anymore.
know like once I start, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I just need to get myself in that zone. So yeah.
Do you have any like rituals? Do you have like a setup where you're like, okay, if I, go to my bedroom or I go like outside, like, is there a particular place where you can like tap into that energy?
Just bedroom floor time.
Right. Okay. Lights off, lights on.
Lights on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, some people need the darkness to kind of just like let it flow.
Yeah. Just floor time with a notepad and a pen. And just listen to the song over and over and over again and just structure out the lyrics and go from there.
Do you use any kind of like outside influences like books or movies or other like media to kind of like get the juices flowing?
Yeah, there's definitely some books that like I'll read a passage and I'm like, that's like really poetic or something like that. And so I take inspiration from that, or even like certain podcasts as well.
Okay.
I can't like think of the exact phrase now or something like that, but just the way they have constructed something, I'm like, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What do you like to read? What's your go-to?
I read like a lot of fantasy stuff.
We talking like nerdy, like big sword, wizards, dragons, fantasy stuff?
So I'm reading Dune at the moment because I watched the movies and I'm like, I want to read this. But what was the other series that I read? Oh, it was Shadow and Bone. So it was like that Netflix show, but the books are so much better, naturally. And then there's another huge book series that I read. It's like my thing. I read it once, like every 5 years maybe. But now I can't remember what it's called. The Obed Newton Chronicles. There you go.
Ooh, I've never heard of that. Okay. I'll have to seek that out.
I started reading it in high school and then she only finished the like 6th or 7th book a couple of years ago.
Damn.
So to like finish the series was crazy.
That's like some George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Still going. Still writing, George. Good
Yeah.
job. That's sick. My go-to is to like read like trashy sci-fi.
Yeah.
Just like real like nerdy, trashy sort of stuff as like a break from any of the academic stuff that I'm reading or like the serious writing that I'm trying to do. I'm like, let's go for pulpy, trashy stuff.
Yeah, you need that break.
To just kind of palate cleanse. That's good. I'll have to look at that series that you mentioned.
It's great.
Okay.
Also true crime. I read a lot of like true crime as well.
Yeah. Is that more the podcast stuff that you were talking about?
I'll read it and also podcast as well.
Right.
So I'm the classic like falling asleep and they're talking about someone getting like disemboweled and I'm like, okay.
You and Paige could
cool.
talk for hours about that. She's a big true crime girly. It's fucking crazy. Well, that pretty much brings me to the end of all of the main questions I wanted to hit. So to close out this portion of the episode, I kind of wanted to throw it to you to kind of talk about the thing that you most want to get out of doing terminal sleep. Like, we don't have to talk about right now, but in general, as a project, as a creative outlet, what do you most want to get out of the band?
Put me on the spot.
This is what I do. This is the show.
What do I want to get out of the band?
I mean, why
Just a sense of fulfillment.
Okay.
Like a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Because I do struggle with that existential crisis a lot. What is the point of anything? But when I do stuff with the band, I feel like I have a purpose.
Yeah.
So
to bring it kind of full circle to what we were talking about at the top, going back to Invasion Fest and that moment where you're watching a bunch of other bands on stage and you're like, I can do this. Do you think that there was something in your life at that point that was kind of missing and that's why you wanted the band to kind of become that outlet?
I think it was like, because I've always listened to heavy music. I actually used to play violin and I played in like played in like an orchestra and I could be saying like a Celtic group thing.
Hell yeah.
And I remember that being like so much fun, like just feeling part of something, making something that makes you feel something.
Yeah.
So the band was just like another version of that. And then when we started doing it, like I think I said to a friend, I was like, I finally feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah.
sense of
It's like
purpose.
a therapy session right now.
Yeah, that's great. This is what we're doing. This is
Yeah.
good. This is good stuff. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the formal part of the interview.
Cool.
I now have a series of bonus round questions
Let's go.
That I
I'm
will-
going to not be able to answer them.
that I will chop up and put up separately. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.